行くぞ。
Hello, my name is Noah and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I wanted to discuss the misconceptions of home ownership and how the price that you see on the surface generally might not reflect the true cost of owning any particular home. I would like to do this by pulling a real example from Realtor.com in my local area and using the information from that to show you guys what I mean. Let's get to it. Okay, we are back now, and we are currently on Realtor.com, and this is where we are going to pull the real example and use that information to show you guys what I kind of mean. So I'm in Appleton, Wisconsin currently. This is where I grew up, and I'm going to pull an example right from this area. What I'm going to do when I'm filtering is I will be looking for something extremely inexpensive, not only because there's quite a few first-time home buyers out there, but just for the example, I think it would be beneficial to choose a property that's relatively inexpensive. So I did a search on the site here, and it's kind of looking like this is probably what we'll have to pick. So it's $84,900. This is, it's marked as contingent. It's not important for us for this example, but we can see that their estimated price, estimated mortgage payment is $646 per month. And we can see that they use a 20% down payment with a 30-year fixed loan type, and their interest rate is 7.15, which is extremely high, quite honestly. So we can also see that their estimate for the $646 includes principal and interest, taxes, and insurance. So as a first-time home buyer, this is extremely tempting, right? You want to start owning a property, so you see, you go online, look for some cheap houses, and you see this price, and you say, well, this is half of my, or maybe even a third of my apartment payment right now. So why would I be staying in an apartment? Why would I stay in an apartment if I can just put down a little bit of money and then have this cheap monthly payment, which is a completely valid thought. So let's go through a little bit of the house, right? So the house is here, decent, right? You get a yard. The acreage is just over half an acre. You get a yard to throw your dogs out or your kids, whatever. Not bad, right? And then we're in the living room, right? So we're going through, we have a kitchen and a hallway and the bedroom, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is a bit weird, right? I mean, it kind of looks like I don't know what was going on in there, but if it was a setup, it's relatively funny. But in any event, that's not what we're looking at. We're just kind of looking at the price here. But I just thought that was a little interesting with the chair in the middle. So let's take this information that we have here. $84,900 is the asking price. For, like I said, the 30-year fixed, right? So we have $84,900. We want a down payment of 20%, right? Because that way, even though we are a first-time home buyer, putting down 20% would mean generally that we don't have to pay the PMI or the private mortgage insurance. So that'll save us some money on a monthly basis as well. So that for this example, we're just going to use 20%. The interest rate was 7.51, right? So extremely high, especially compared to, just 4 years ago. The loan term is 30 years, right? They want 30 years because it allows, these the institutions that are going to give you the loan to collect the most money on a 30-year plan. So we can see here that currently the monthly loan payment in total is going to be $475, and that's not including all of the other details, right? Recall in the example, they're estimating $646. Okay, so let's try to get to that 646 and see if we can make sense of what they're recommending the payment is, basically what they're promoting the price will be if you own this home. So I did a little bit of research prior to try to figure out what property taxes might be and the insurance and so forth. So I stumbled upon $140 for the property taxes in that specific area with that home value, and then the insurance does vary, but generally speaking, it's going to be over 100, slightly over 100 in this area. So I'm just gonna use 100 for this example, just for the sake of ease. HOA fees, we'll leave that as 0. PMI, we put 20% down in this example, right? So I think we can stick with 0 there. And currently we are at $715, right? So our total monthly payment. So that includes the interest, the principal, the insurance, and the property taxes. So already, we're $50 over, right? Which obviously isn't the biggest deal, right? Especially when the monthly mortgage is this cheap. But let's see if this is the entire story of it. So the other detail that we want to include in my dashboard here, and this is a dashboard that I created as part of my service to try to help people really understand how to choose the right home to purchase, for their specific budget. But we want to put in a few more details regarding what might go in to the cost of ownership for this specific house. So one of them is maintenance. And if we look back, and I'm obviously not throwing shade at the home or anything like that, but we can tell, right, that that this home needs a little bit of maintenance. I'd say I'm sure you could, put a bed in it and stay there. You could physically live in this, but for me, I think a lot of people would like to do a little bit, right? The first thing you got to do is, pay someone to get that chair out of the living room. I mean, like I said, I don't know what that's about. I still wonder about it, but look at here too, right? The carpets, I don't know if that's mold, gutted. I don't know what that is, but look at these carpets, right? I mean, that's not what you want. We can go up here. The kitchen, I mean, it is what it is, right? But the floors look pretty beat. I mean, you can see here, I don't know what look at that. It's, kind of falling apart, right? And look at the carpet here. I mean, and like I said, there's a burn on the fireplace. The point being, there's going to be a little bit of maintenance, right, that goes into this house. So as to how much, it's anybody's guess, right? But I think it would be fair to assume that over the entirety of the mortgage, let's say 30 years, we could do $50 maybe. $50 a month I think is reasonable. Obviously, you're going to see that and say, wow, that's cheap. But if you move into the house and you need new flooring, right, it's not going to be $50 that month. It's going to be $1,000, up front, and maybe you won't have to worry about it for a while. But I'll use $50 for this example just to be a little bit conservative, right? So we're not going to worry about an extra payment for this discussion here. But I also have here miscellaneous expenses, and the charges that I'm referring to in miscellaneous are essentially, the charges that are essential to keep the lights on, right? To actually live in it, which, in modern times are electricity, water, utility, sewage, trash fees, and that kind of goes into the taxes and so on. But the other one is like internet, right? We don't, generally speaking, I don't think many people live in a house if there's no internet, maybe as a vacation home for a week or something. But it's generally, almost a requirement at this day and age. So what I did was I went online and I found a resource that essentially, it looks like it allows individuals to kind of upload specific costs in their specific area. I'm not entirely sure, but it gave a relatively, what I think is a decent estimate of what electric and heating and cooling and so on might be on an average basis in this specific area in Appleton, Wisconsin. And after comparing it to what I pay, I think it's relatively similar. So I'm gonna trust it, at least for this example. So the two portions that we're going to want to look at here are the electric, heating, and cooling, and the internet. Right? We're going to assume that no one has we're not going to include a landline at this home, but let's see what they have. So they're listing $160 for utility, and it looks like 66. We'll round up to 70 for internet, which for me makes quite a bit of sense. So that will give us a total of 230, right? So we will add $230 there as a addition, right? Okay. So, if you saw, as soon as I entered that information, the total monthly payment changed. And if you look, it's quite a different story, right? After we add in a few of those charges, not only was the price higher, comparatively to what Realtor.com said for the estimated cost with the specific criteria, right? The insurance and the property tax, it was already higher at that point using some external resources that I found here. But after adding in just a couple of the other expenses that would definitely be a part of owning this home, we can see that it's creeping on the $1,000 mark portion, right? So it's definitely not a black and white situation where it's one right answer, one wrong answer, but you can tell that when you kind of look into each specific circumstance, or in this case, this specific property, this Conjuring one, right? That the story is a little bit different from what they're promoting on their site. I think it's really easy for individuals to just see this number, right, and just jump on it without really considering all of the other expenses that would be tied to the ownership of this property, right? And I do think that this is a very conservative estimate. The property taxes and insurance might be relatively accurate, but I think the maintenance at $50 a month is extremely low. I don't think that I almost feel like even living in an apartment, you spend 50 for different things pretty frequently. So on a house like that with the lawn and you saw that there's a decent yard there as well, right? Let's get out of this living room, right? There's a front yard, a backyard. There's even a garage, which isn't pictured at all, right? So, if this is what the living room looks like, I think we can all imagine what the garage looks like as well. But there's all this maintenance that needs to get done. There's a deck, so I think this is extremely, extremely conservative. I would estimate that this being easily over 1,000 is where it would be for this specific property. But essentially, what the point in all of this was to really show that you can't take everything for face value. And when you're promoted with these type of houses, you really need to consider, in any house for that matter, what the true cost will be. So the true cost is definitely not 646 as they're promoting here. It's probably easily well over $1,000. So if you have a budget that accounts for 646 and you jump on this offer, you're probably going to be in for a somewhat rude awakening when you start actually getting these bills and needing to do repairs as well. The other thing that's pretty important to note on this is that this is a very entry-level home, right, at 84.9. You can imagine that if you would get into the $350,000, $400,000 homes, obviously the estimated price is going to be a lot higher than this, right? It's going to be probably triple that or quadruple this here, but the extra charges, right, on a bigger home are going to be increasingly bigger as you move up in that in the sale price, right? So it can be, if you get into that $300,000 to $400,000 home range, your additional expenses are just going to be extremely high. So those definitely need to be accounted for before you pull the trigger and get into that kind of home ownership. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much. I hope that this was educational and informative, and I hope that the next time that you decide to get into home ownership, you take into the considerations that I went over today before pulling the trigger. Thank you, and take care.